How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. We're talking about Dylan Harper today, who is an incredibly high-level prospect. Consider this my Dylan Harper evaluation. Let's get right into it. And I feel like some people are kind of overthinking Harper. Not like it's not like a common opinion by any means, but I've seen people who have him like 4 or 5. It's a fringe opinion, but I think Harper is just like one of the safest star bets, and that stems primarily from his rim pressure. He has the best combination of size, handle, and pace that I've seen in a long time. He is a spin move maestro, like so good at stepping in and out of these shots. Like he is so good at creating space with these. He's fluid. He gets fouled right there. So fluid, ducking right here. Quick pivot, draws the foul. He just like plays like these controlled 6'1" point guards. Like, he gets the Jalen Brunson comp because he loves to pivot around, and he just is so controlled and balanced, right? Plays off of 2 feet, fake pivot inside. Oh my God. Just a nasty move by Mr. Dylan Harper. His change of direction is so smooth, and he slows down so smoothly. You just don't see a lot of guys of his size with this kind of like handling coordination. Smooth behind the back, Euro step back to the left side. Like, he's just a very rare mover. And if you enjoy watching Dylan Harper as much as I do, please drop a like, comment, subscribe. Would always appreciate it. And let's say this gets to 150 likes, I will do whatever the top comment says. So 150 likes, hit the bell, all that good stuff. And Harper is like a very good post scorer. He's going up against Cohen Carr, one of the most athletic players I've ever seen right here. Really good at like noticing that Cohen Carr's weight is leaning this way and his feet are almost off the ground on his tippy toes. So his balance and leverage is really bad. Dylan is low and balanced. He knows he can spin off, drop step into a right-handed finish. He's a pretty damn good finisher with his right hand, all things considered. And he has the speed to get downhill. He's not like the top end first step. He's no Anthony Edwards or even like a Jeremiah Fears or a VJ Edgecombe in this class. But you can really see him blow by guys, and like bigs in contain are not going to have a good time. And again, we see Harper shielding the ball with his weak right hand. I mean, don't even really want to call it weak. It is definitely a strength of his relative to a lot of other young guards. And again, we see like a post hook here. I think this is going to be something he's able to do in the league. Like, he is 6'6", built already, going to keep getting stronger. Like, he's just going to be able to bash smaller guards in the post, especially because he's such a scorer. But he is a dynamic athlete as well. Like, for every post up, you see him splitting the pick and roll here. His handle is unbelievable, as we're going to keep seeing. So good and tight and controlled, and then dunks almost over Diabate. And then Harper's going to do it again, splitting to the middle, exploding in traffic. Like, doesn't get up so high, but I definitely think he has enough vertical pop. Like, he's not a ground-bound player, even if he's not like a high flyer like an Edgecombe, or even like a Cooper Flagg or whoever. But again, once Harper gets a head of steam like this, especially against pressure, and one of Harper's superpowers to me is the ability to beat aggressive coverages. Like, he saw this so much at Rutgers because they had no talent outside of Ace, but Harper just burning the contained big with his speed, getting downhill, great body control in midair, and I believe Harper gets a miss here. But you can see how easily he gets to the front of the basket, where there's no lost momentum here with this behind the back. Keeps his speed, just throws this defender off, hops and gets right there. He definitely does settle for some contested finishes because of the lack of like crazy vertical pop. And sometimes I wish he'd play with a little more power, like just keeping his drives. But this is late shot clock, so I do get that. But this has allowed Harper to put up some like historic rim pressure numbers. These are freshmen 150 attempts at the rim, 70% at the rim below 6'8" or 6'9", so like non-center size guys, even though you have like Harper. And there's not a lot of players on this list. You have your Zion Williamson, obviously. Harper is the shortest player on this list, aside from Tavion Kinsey. Goat Tavion Kinsey. But again, Dylan Harper right here, we can see 70% at the rim, 170 attempts, 41 free throw rate, like just a dominant driver. And I do think that matters, and he shifts this defender out of his socks right there. Though he's not the most explosive, like vertical horizontal athlete, his change of pace is so good, and he's so in control of his body and knows how to just manipulate defenders that way, that I do think there's a lot of, on-ball primary creation. Again, we see a Euro step with his right hand, but look at him like pointing his eyes upward, just like to distract this big not sure if he's going to pass right here, pass a lob over top, or of course just go right into him, finish over that big man. Harper's an excellent, excellent player with the screen because of this pace and patience. Again, this is just a beautiful play right here where Harper is just taking his time. He's just bouncing around. He has some, like, I don't know, players like Harper remind me of like your Le'Veon Bell type running backs who, like, they're not just going to hit this hole aggressively like, I don't know, Anthony Edwards would. He's going to take his time, he's going to bounce, he's going to wait for the openings, and he's going to get downhill and draw a foul. And I feel like most players who play like this aren't 6'6" and jacked, but part to me of what makes Harper so good, and of course his ability to draw fouls. He's so good putting defenders in jail because of his big frame, and look at him squeeze through that tight window, put up a shot, and get fouled. The foul drawing is obviously an excellent thing for him, and he's so good playing off of 2 feet. This Notre Dame defense, wretched. I've talked about it in videos before, but easily blows by the defender with his first step, clean advantage, and then just, I mean, you can see this like a 6'5" guy contesting the rim, but hop step, plays off of 2. Always so comfortable being like physically imposing and just bashing guys in. Another right-handed finish right there. He's not like, he's definitely not as good finishing with his right hand. You can see his touch falter at times on that side, but he attempts it so much. And I love Harper's ability, even without elite burst, to keep a straight line on his drives because he gets lower than his defender, right? Low man wins, create that leverage, and then he can open him up and create this angle so the defender can't cut him off towards the sideline, right? Harper blows by, muscles that defender, ends up scoring so easily. And yeah, some of these righty shots are crazy. Like, again, I have sometimes I'm like, settles for a lot of these very tough shots. But man, his touch right here, slowing down with the decel, righty hook, like he is just an unreal finisher. But I do think there are some legit concerns about his just pure on-ball separation ability because he does rely on a lot of these shots where he's got a switch on him. You can see him get leverage, but at some point Harper just like lacks the raw like twitch and explosion to cover space quickly. And I think that can leave him at times like over rely on the pivots and trying to stop and craft his way. Like these shots can definitely work, but sometimes I wish he'd just lean into his power more, draw more fouls. Like he had a 40 free throw rate, which is really good, but I feel like that could be so much higher even with the way that he can play in some like basic approach changes. But great crossover, gets to the middle, makes this defender fall over. But again, just those pivot shots are, just like a tough way to live. And I think Harper is definitely a guy who can live that way. But definitely I think some reasonable worries about how much he relies on that. But Harper's ability to get all the way to the rim, even when he's not finishing, like you are not going to be able to hedge him. Big men, I don't think there's going to be a lot of NBA big men who can just contain Harper easily on hedges, keep him out of the paint, and he just ends up, just like, again, doesn't really get any air here. I would love to see Harper just be more, try to be a little more explosive, get closer to the rim right there. So though he was an absurdly good finisher at the college level, I do have a tiny bit of worry about that translating to the pros, though I think he's still going to be excellent. But just like these high-end athletes, and Solomon Washington is that, can definitely make his life pretty hard on some of these. I do think he'll get better at drawing fouls and the craft side of it. But that's something to note for a player whose main appeal is his ability to get downhill and get to the rim. But even on most of these plays, you can see he's creating an advantage. He totally turns this first defender, right? This helper comes over and just walls up, but Harper has this defender clean on his back, right? This is a just good help play and terrible spacing here from Rutgers. Always important to take context into account, right? And he played in a really rough context. Had one of the most talent devoid rosters of all of the high level prospects. Ace is obviously great, but a little inconsistent at sometimes. But anyways, Harper again, we see getting to the front of the rim. A little some of these righty shots aren't perfect, right? Like you can see it's not his strongest hand, but I do always like that Harper is attempting these shots going to his right hands and is making those happen. Again, Harper gets downhill and just kind of takes off a little early for my taste, and he does leave some kick out passes on the table at times. He has very good vision and feel as a passer, which we'll get to right now actually. but it's not perfect. And Harper's best passing stuff, no surprise, comes from his pick and roll, his manipulation, his ability to get defenders on his back. Again, the jail basically just makes this a 1-on-2, right? Harper has to read this defender as well as any help defenders in the range, but Harper's ability to keep a live dribble and like eliminate this help by getting closer to the rim opens this pass and makes that wide open read. And his teammates sold so many incredible passes this year. It was painful watching this Rutgers team at time. But again, we see Harper just use the ball screen, patiently bounce in the middle and throw that pass down low. This is just a beautiful read right here against the hedge. Another point of just not being able to hedge Dylan Harper very well because he can pass over it as well. Like, this is not an easy read because this defender is still closing, but Harper trusts his big man to go get it, throws an accurate pass, and ends up getting an easy assist right there. So Harper, as like a playmaker off of his drives, is excellent, and this is just a beautiful play. Kind of looks like he screwed himself driving into traffic. Somehow squeaks this, like, that is crazy. And that's 100% intentional too. Like it's obvious that he was trying to do that based on how soft that ball landed there. Like, really, really impressive stuff. And again, we see Harper's ability to pass off a live dribble and his teammates selling him all the time. Like, really great. He's going to be a guy who punishes sloppy defenses so much in the NBA, which is obviously, I think, you know, the mark of an elite player is your ability to beat good set defense. But like, miscommunication on the switch, boom, Harper's gone. You step up, help steps up. He's going to lob it over top. Like, he's so good at those plays. And I think I'm accidentally showing this place twice, but it was so nice I had to show it twice. Anyways, Harper's such a great passer. When like reacting to help, maybe he's not like moving defenders that much with his eyes, and like he's not a super high level decision maker or like anticipator, but help steps up right here, knows the opening is going to come, and he just finds it right there for a pretty good look at the rim that this time his big is in fact able to convert. And just look at Harper got double teamed so much. I actually charted this. I've been charting the playmaking data. I'm going to do some content on it, but Harper's like double team rate is sky high. Teams pressured him so much this year, and he was so good not turning the ball over and making the right plays. Obviously, stuff like this is just easy. Like the kind of gravity that Harper has, that Penn State is willing to just play with the 4-on-3 and take their chances with a guy dribbling into a floater wide open. Harper's a nice skip passer as well. Just quick read right there. I love his ability to be a connector too. Like, Harper's a great off-ball player to me, which I'll talk about more, and that doesn't get discussed enough in my opinion, but beautiful skip there to the weak side corner. And Harper's been throwing these skips all season. This is a great live dribble one to the weak side of the floor. Like, he's not an incredible skip passer, but we did see some flashes of like pretty high level manipulation where you can see Harper obviously jumping and looking like he's passing to number 5, but he's throwing it to the cutter right here. Number 4 hesitates for a split second, gets that shot wide open, and then again we're going to see Harper getting downhill right here, and he's going to just pump fake, wait for that guy to come open. So his vision is very, very good. I don't think like I've seen some Cade Cunningham comparisons, and I think that falls short a little bit to me because Cade was just that level of high-end passer, but Harper's excellent as well. A lot of his turnovers to me, like, I don't mind stuff like this where he's trying to hit this skip pass, just doesn't really put the right amount of velocity on it necessarily, and when you get trapped as much as Harper did, there's bound to be some turnovers, some mistakes against pressure, but like I said, I think on the whole, he did a phenomenal job playing against pressure. Like there were plays like this, right, where he just makes a poor decision right here. But again, like we've seen Harper succeed in plays like this, where this defender's momentum is carrying him away to the perimeter. So Harper tried to pass fake over there. Harper tries to pass it inside. This defender doesn't bite, and he also misses the pass. But I do understand a lot of what Harper is trying to go for on these turnovers. But like I said, the cross-court vision to me is not that great. It's definitely the weakest part of his playmaking, in my opinion. There's like a lot of potential kick-out passes off the table, because partly just because he's such a good driver and finisher, and I always get that part, and I want to be kind of understanding of that. But Harper, the other big thing with Harper is his shooting, which is an interesting case. Harper didn't shoot super efficiently from 3, but that was dragged down by his off dribble stuff. His catch and shoot was like 36, 37%. free throw, but just not great like mid-range scoring touch, which is an interesting profile just because his touch at the rim is so amazing. But Harper's a pretty good off-dribble shooter. He's a pretty good off-ball shooter too, which we'll get to. Like I said, Harper's catch and shooting is an underrated part of what makes him a good off-ball player and a very scalable player beyond just his primary creation value. And Harper got more comfortable sizing players up and firing these deep pull-ups as the season went on. Like, so many young guards are inefficient pull-up shooters and then figure that out later, especially when they're creating space like Dylan Harper. Will double harden step back into the smooth pull-up triple. Like, he's really good at creating these shots, and he has the height, even though Harper has a bit of a lower release. You can see his set point kind of like the middle of his face, a little bit kind of farther out than a lot of players, but Harper still has the size and the range to get those over players. But Harper is also like a sneaky movement shooter. He just doesn't do it a lot for Rutgers because they need him on the ball so much. Like, they'd run baseline out of bounds sets to get Harper going to the corner, moving away from his strong hand. Actually, no. He's moving the correct way for a lefty shooter. I'm just a righty shooter pilled. Anyways, Harper's able to like hit these shots off of movement. He's got deep catch and shoot range. So I do really buy his ability to be just like a spot up player at the next level and add value playing next to other stars, which is something I value a ton for these lead guard players. Like, he can be really good just like coming off of curls, but like I said, he takes, I think a lot of his mid-range stuff, like he takes these long mid-ranges. I just don't like this shot, right? Pull the three or get to the rim or do something with that. But he does have a lot of these weird short misses. And this is going to be a part of his game that he does need to clean up. The mid-range footwork, the comfort in that area. And Harper also isn't a great floater guy. Like, I'm not really sure what it is. He just doesn't seem to have the best touch getting these shots in from that intermediate range. I think part of it is just he doesn't do it very often because of how dominant of a driver he is and how often he can just get to the restricted area. But I would like to see more of that. But there are definitely flashes with Penny Hardaway's step back, spinning right there, hopping into the mid-range. Like, I do think he's more comfortable moving backwards and like stepping back into shots than he is moving forward, because he's good at that little snatch back. And obviously I think it's more common to step back or hop away into threes than it is to mid-ranges. But I like him going for this like paint hops. Like, I don't like the long mids for Harper, but I do like him hopping into the paint and using his size and scoring in the mid-range that way. And this is like one of the few like runner teardrops that he did this season. He just didn't have a lot of floaters this season on tape. Not a shot that he went to very often. Not talking about Harper's defense this game, but I think it can be solid. That's another video. I've already been gone so long. This is another video for another day, but we're going to see Harper come down. This is just like a, consummate Harper impact play where he's going to drive, finish in traffic. The deceleration is beautiful. And I think he's a great closeout attacker, and he attacks off of the catch really well, which is an underrated skill. Like, goes immediately, gets into his little pivot, and we're going to see another classic Dylan Harper right-hand finish right there. He's a great cutter. He times his cuts well when defenses are sleeping. Rutgers will run some set plays for him to get backdoor cuts, but he's just a good like freelance cutter. Notices his defender is stuck right here and he's getting denied. So somebody's going to slip back, trust his man to find him, and he's going to finish strong with a big dunk right there. They'll just run a lot of this stuff where teams are afraid of Harper going over and getting to the middle of the floor, so they overplay him, and then Harper can slip back door. And he just seems to have great feel for when to use the screen and when to slip back door. I showed this clip twice again. This is an interesting one. I don't really have a segue to this. A Harper comparison is very tough for me. What about Jalen Williams? There's a lot of differences. The shooting profile is different. The defense is different, but just I thought about guys who use pivots a lot, and Jalen Williams was obviously not nearly as highly regarded as a prospect as Harper, but we see what he has turned into. Like, Harper's handle is also a huge difference, like so much better than Dub, but Dub is longer, right? There's differences, but I think the similarities I see are just the way that they used pace and manipulated time and space. Like, Williams was so good at using his body and being physical and pump fakes and waiting for his angles to come open and not necessarily just winning with straight burst or versus like Chet Holmgren right here. Bump, stop on a dime, pivot, spin move. Like, I could totally see Dylan Harper doing a move like that. And of course there were some playmaking similarities too, where not like the most crazy explosive, but you saw flashes of J-Dub's handle. And I think it was honestly better earlier in his career. Like as he's added more strength, his ball control, and as he plays more on the ball this year, like his ball control isn't as good as it once has been. But yeah, we saw some impressive moments. Definitely just like not as dynamic of an athlete as Harper. But we see that J-Dub has just gotten huge, right? Like he's gotten so big, added so much functional strength. I think Harper can probably do a similar thing, even though he's already like more built and less lean. But J-Dub kind of roaming the baseline, passing right there. It was also just so fun to go back and watch some college J-Dub tape. Interior pass to the middle. We see Harper is a great interior passer too. Definitely not perfect, but when I'm thinking about ways that Harper can thrive in the NBA, like I think he's a better like on-ball lead creator bet, but I do think there's ways like if he doesn't end up being a great pull-up shooter, or if he just can't create clean advantages enough, that maybe he isn't like a pure primary. But I think that's Harper's ceiling, and Harper to me, like I don't think he's in Cooper's tier, but I also don't think anybody is close to him. Like this isn't the most incredible class in terms of like the top end elite talent, but Harper totally is that to me. Like he is a real primary initiator, blue chip prospect who is scalable off the ball, has good defensive tools, and just has bona fide elite skills and elite traits about him. He is one of those guys that I just don't want to overthink. Like seems like at the very least is going to bring like low end star impact, and obviously could see so much more for him. And I think the fact that he should add value playing next to other stars is so important because of his size and defense and closeout attacking and cutting. Like that stuff matters for these primary guys to me, and Harper has that. But let me know what you think. Again, like, comment, subscribe. It'll all be super appreciated, and I hope you have a good day or night whenever you watch this.